Good morning. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. My name is Jen Rico and I work for Caridad, where we're trying to humanize the homeless. So I just want to welcome you to our show. We're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Our guest has not arrived yet, so we hope that you will be patient and either make a cup of coffee or grab a glass of water. We're actually going to be talking to AG from 10th Planet. It's a Jujutsu studio down off of 6th and Carson. So if you aren't familiar, we work, or at least I work, and am the supervisor of DT Alley. So if you're familiar with Commonwealth, DT Alley, Donut Bar, some of those are some common restaurants and bars that you might remember, but it's it's basically the Johnny Carson building. And so that corner of 6th and Carson, it's the alley behind that. So we have an alley which we call DT Alley because it's actually in the shape of a T, where we have local artists who have put up their art. We have graffiti, we have what are called experience boxes. So we have a library where you can take or give a book. We also have a piano that's always open for playing. So if you ever want to come down in the morning, you can always grab a donut and coffee. There's also Juice Stars that has been opening earlier and staying open later now that the restrictions have been lifted. So you can always do a morning having a juice, come down, see the art, experience some of the boxes. So we have a handyman actually finishing up one of the boxes, which is a confessional. So if you haven't come out, that's a new one that's going to be on the east side of the alley. So it's 2 doors that basically open up, that will have locked just like the other boxes. So we'll open them up in the morning and you can come confess your sins, which for some of you may be there for a while. We also have some extra bars that are going up. If you aren't familiar with LV Bar Stars or familiar with our partnership with that, we actually have a workout for free for the community on Wednesdays. If you'll show up at 10:45, the exercises start promptly at 11. But they're in DT Alley as well, and that's free to the community. But we have a set of pull-up bars that were donated, and because of the attraction to calisthenics, we actually have another set of pull-up bars and some grips going up. So our programs are expanding. A little birdie told me that they're going to actually add some stretching and mobility at the end of their class today. So we try to provide some live feeds, some pictures, a little bit of all of the above on all of the websites or social media sites that you can look for us on Caridad and LV Bar Stars. I actually got to meet up with the LV Bar Stars last night. It's a group that I actually work out with and have been with for about 4 years now. They had a competition this weekend that a lot of people came in from around the country. And so one of the winners actually got a pair of Parallettes. So if you don't know what they are, they're basically like wooden dowels that you can put your hands and do handstands or planches, planks, push-ups, those types of things. So someone had gotten them as a gift for one of the awards for winning one of the competitions at the LV Bar Stars event this past Saturday. They didn't need them because they already had them, so they donated them to Caridad. So we're going to be posting that on our video and picture site for Caridad and LV Bar Stars, so just pay attention to that. If you're ever interested to, you can come down, and then they also have equipment that you can purchase through LV Bar Stars so that you can start doing some of those workouts or practice at home. It's an organization that actually does some community service around the valley. We're connected with them, and we plan on partnering and kind of moving forward with doing some more workouts. So if you have a day that you're interested in, we've actually been thinking of doing another workout in the alley. So we have one in the morning. We're thinking of scooting it a little bit earlier because it's starting to get hot out there, and you know it's downtown Las Vegas, so not like in the park, so the heat gets pretty intense. So we're actually thinking of moving Wednesday's workout a little bit earlier now that the heat is coming. And then we're trying to think of another nighttime day. And when I nighttime day, I mean not like a Friday night where it's crazy in Las Vegas. So maybe a Monday night. So if any of you are interested, or it's something that you've been wanting to try but it doesn't fit in your schedule because you're not a morning person and you'd like an evening class, we'd love for you to comment on any of our social media sites, whether that be Caridad or LV Bar Stars, and give us some ideas on what day you would be interested in. We would appreciate your comments and feedback because we really like to hear from the community and give you things that you would like. Some things that we've been thinking about for the future are some more paint and sips in the alley. We have one coming up actually towards the end of May 20th actually at Inspire. So you'll start to see some marketing and advertising for that. He's downstairs just so you know. So we're going to be doing some marketing and advertising in the next week for that. We're going to actually offer that off of Eventbrite, so you can go on and purchase our tickets there. So there'll be painting and simping on drinks at the top of Inspire, which is also part of DT Alley. So a lot of those businesses and restaurants have had a lot of those limitations and restrictions lifted. So we're hoping that some of you or more of you will keep coming out and supporting those establishments, because those are things that are helping us as a nonprofit. If you're not familiar with Caridad and maybe this is your first time maybe logging on, just Caridad is a nonprofit where we use gardening to reintegrate formerly homeless veterans back into a quote-unquote normal human lifestyle. So US Vets usually gives them their shelter, we provide them with their first job, and we do it through gardening because we really wanted to do something different. Instead of just giving them a handout, teaching them a skill. So we actually help them learn about gardening in their homes, gardening outside of their homes, and hydroponics. So welcome, AG. Nice to see you. So just giving everybody a little information on what Caridad is, what LV Bar Stars is, because they're two organizations that have partnered to help with wellness. So that's what this is about, Wellness Wednesday. I want to welcome you.
Thank you.
So 10th Planet, can you give us what your title is with 10th Planet, how you're related to 10th Planet?
My name is AG. I'm the operations manager for 10th Planet. I handle several locations in California and Nevada, and just oversee the day-to-day operations, staffing, scheduling, things like that.
Nice. So Jujutsu, right? It's a Jujutsu studio.
Jujutsu.
Now, is it just located in the Southwest? We know Jujutsu is everywhere.
All
obviously.
around the world.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 10th Planet is a mega organization, probably 120, 140 locations around the world, and is probably the fastest growing, if not the biggest single organization in all of Jiu-Jitsu.
Awesome. So where did it start?
This guy, Eddie Bravo, he defeated one of the famous Gracies in a competition way back in the old days. And he had a really outside the box way of thinking. And he really, his professor and a former professor of mine, Jean-Jacques Machado, he was one of the highest ranking Brazilian guys to ever do it. Grew up with the Gracies, cousin of the Gracies. And he really built an environment of inspiration, inspiring creative thinking. And Eddie had some really creative ways of thinking that were kind of shunned in other circles. And he used that creative way of thinking to defeat guys much better than him.
Right.
And that's been kind of disseminated down throughout our entire system. So we kind of encourage outside the box thinking, creative thinking. If you're a brand new guy and you have a new way of doing things, we're going to listen to it.
Oh, that's awesome. So I've learned a little bit about Jiu-Jitsu. My daughter was in Gracie, so I know it's very traditional, very structured.
Yeah. Great skills.
Yes, and so I really loved that type of structure. I grew up in the military, so it's kind of my thing, is that structure and organization, especially being an athlete. But interesting story about thinking out of the box. That makes me think of Bruce Lee, right? Bruce Lee came over, he was doing things differently than his quote-unquote culture was wanting to do, especially offering it to other ethnicities. So that's interesting because I have an affinity for just people who think out of the box. I'm that type of person. So what makes 10th Planet different than these other jiu-jitsu places? Like if you were to sell yourself and tell us or draw us in.
So we're in a really unique position to where we kind of pick and choose who we want on our team. I have 2 phones, they ring nonstop, people trying to join the team. And as long as a person's a cool person, they can join. Anyone who's like a D-bag or somebody who's arrogant, we kind of send those guys other places. But as far as being able to join the team and be different, the one thing that Eddie did was he got rid of the gi, the uniform you wear in Jiu-Jitsu, because if you fight in MMA, if you get in a fight at the pool, at the beach, or just in your everyday life, you're not wearing that stuff.
Right.
So you got to know how to control someone's skeletal structure, how to be able to grab onto someone who's wet, who's sweaty, or if you want to incorporate it into the UFC, those guys wear tight shorts and that's it. Right. So how do you control a guy who's doing that? And he incorporated a lot of, like as Bruce Lee did, he incorporated stuff that's been around forever and kind of modified it and made it our own.
Right.
And then another thing he did that was very unique, and it's unique to 10th Planet, is we've named all of the moves. Okay. So if you're in a position where you have your leg over the guy's head and you have your arm on your hand under his arm and you have your hand on your hip, and I'm talking to you on the phone explaining something, you have no idea what we're talking about.
Right.
But if we just have a creative name for it, then everyone who's in that conversation knows exactly what the position is.
Yes.
And some of the names are super goofy, and some of the positions are positions that go all the way back to like the Roman wrestling days. But he gave a name to them, so when he's teaching, or our coaches are teaching, or if you're in a competition and somebody brand new is coaching you, you guys are speaking a language that everybody understands.
Right.
So that communication piece makes it really like vital to being able to be effective and to be able to teach and to learn.
Okay. So the difference between, because my ex-husband was a wrestler, so I remember going to Greco-Roman wrestling matches. Yeah. So how would that be different from wrestling?
Great question. So wrestling is a sport in the sense that its ultimate goal is to either have points or a pin. Jiu-Jitsu is a self-defense. So real similar in like some of the movements, but the goal is to either break your opponent or submit them, or just make them lose consciousness by choking them out.
Got it.
So it's done to specifically save your own life or the life of others. Right. That's the end goal. And a good wrestler you have a drunk uncle at a party who's acting like a fool, or he wants to drive. A wrestler could just hold him down and keep him from doing anything.
Right.
A jiu-jitsu guy could do the same thing.
Okay.
But the jiu-jitsu guy could also take his life if he had to, for whatever reason that might be.
That's kind of where our tie-in with our vets comes in, right? Because to me, which another conversation later we'll have, we kind of got connected. I know you have some vets in your program.
A lot of vets, yeah.
Because we had talked about the connection of maybe offering that as a wellness model to some of our vets who have issues with PTSD.
Yep.
Because a lot of that, and I discuss this a lot with my leadership, is that there's this lack of trust, right? So a lot of that PTSD is that you don't trust others. There's usually a reason why, but a lot of that heightened sense of fear and mistrust. So if I were to learn jiu-jitsu, would that give me a level of maybe peace and security? It may not take my PTSD away, but if I know I can handle myself in a way that some of that fear could dissipate, would you think that would be something you would suggest?
So I'm not a PTSD expert, but I know one thing from a lot of the vets that we have is the one thing in jiu-jitsu that draws them to it isn't the self-defense factor. The military is already capable of, as a soldier, an airman, a Marine, a sailor, you're already pretty capable of hurting other people if you need to. But what jiu-jitsu gives them back that a lot of them are missing is that team camaraderie that they had in the military, that they loved, that you could share with your brothers or your sisters in the military. And you get a lot of like-minded people that are super motivated, that share good ideas, and it's really a brotherhood. Right. Because you're bleeding, you're sweating, you're just grinding every day, working super hard with your teammates. And there's something about going forehead to forehead with somebody when you're sweaty that really makes you like build a bond together. Right. You know, there's like all of your limitations on like personal space is gone, so you get real close to the people that you're training with, and you have to trust them that they're not going to injure you, and vice versa. So I think from the vets that we have, that's the one thing that they universally bring up, is that team camaraderie that they miss so much in the military, and that's the thing that they instill along with discipline. One of the first things in the military is that team. Everything's a team. Individually, you're worthless, but as a team, you guys are very powerful.
Nice. Well, that's a good connection, because I know that's a lot of the vets use our organization. They've been kind of wandering, feeling isolated and lonely, and so now they're finding a group of people. They like to say family. I don't know if that's ever a term that they use, but I come from an athletic background, so my team was my family. They always had my back, and it's the blood, sweat, and tears, right? It's
a lot of our teammates, if they're younger, they'll get what we call a fighter house. One guy will rent a house, and then there'll be 10, 12, maybe more people living in it together, and they're just talking jiu-jitsu, learning jiu-jitsu, training together, eating right. doing all kind of like the balance and mobility stuff that's necessary to be like a good athlete, and they just absorb it 100% into their lifestyle.
Right. Okay, so that's like the show I remember seeing about where they would get the house for them to train.
Yeah.
Was that?
That was a UFC show, yeah. That one, they purposely incorporated a lot of alcohol.
Well, there's a drama, right?
Exactly.
For numbers, I get
Exactly.
it. But along the same lines, though, they're all living together.
Exactly, yeah.
Together.
They're not much different than what like a jiu-jitsu fighter house is like.
Got it. Okay. Now, my question is this something that is taught, like we know military, do you get any police or fire? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got a ton of firemen. We have, jiu-jitsu is just something that anybody that wants to improve their lifestyle seeks out. So we have doctors and surgeons, and we have lawyers, and we have military, active and former, and we have moms and kids, and we have people that have been sexually assaulted, and we have people that are UFC fighters. And we got the most insane collective group of people you've ever seen.
Diverse.
We have hippies, and we have like hardcore military people, and it's literally just like a melting pot of different personalities, and those personalities together is what make up such good ideas and such like new moves and tactics and techniques that makes our team so effective.
Awesome. So do you have, are they all along the same schedule, or does each 10th planet, do they have their own schedule? And run?
Their own schedule. They're pretty universal. So a 10th planet is going to either have an early morning class or on a 6 a.m.
Okay.
And if they don't have that, they're going to have something around an 11 a.m. And then they're going to have 6 and 7, 6:30, 7, 7:30, somewhere around that line, evening classes. They're all within a little bit of each other because those are the prime hours people train.
Right.
So if you want to train early in the morning, you can. If you want to train midday, you can. If you want to train in the evening, you can.
Got it. So for your 10th planet down at 6th and Carson, what's your schedule like?
So we have a 11 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Okay.
And then we have a brand new jiu-jitsu class like at 5:30, and that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Is that 5:30 p.m.?
5:30 p.m.
Okay.
And that's for somebody who's never been walked in a gym before.
Okay.
That very first class. And that's something like how do you greet your instructor, where do you put your shoes, things like that. Really like day one.
Okay.
And then you go to that for a couple weeks until you feel comfortable, and then you come to our fundamental class, which is our 6 p.m.
Okay.
And that teaches like the basics, breakdown of moves, position, why you're putting your hand where, why you're doing the certain things you're doing. They go into like more detail, and then they'll drill. And then the 7:30 class, that's for people that are more advanced or that understand the technique.
Got it.
And in that class, the coach will just yell out a move, and you already know it, and you just start drilling it.
Got it.
So it's kind of like learning to dance. They're going to show you why you dance. They're going to teach you the moves, and then at the end, you're just going to like, let's do the whatever dance moves are called.
Yeah. Well, no, it's interesting because my son started working with a company. We've had them at an event downtown called Alchemy Breaking. And so when I talked to Etienne, who is one of the founders, he was saying that he was trying to make his breakdancing school just like Jujutsu. I think he had trained at a couple of the 10th planets. Yeah. And he was saying that he really liked the way that you structured that, and then the way that it was leveled so that you knew that, hey, there's an intro class where you learn little things like how to be in class, what to wear, you know, and then you have the fundamentals where you learn the names of everything. And so by the time you get to the advanced, you're not wasting your time trying to explain that to anyone. They're just already getting into it.
It's funny you bring up breakdancing. 2 of our best competitors in 10th Planet came from the breakdancing world.
Yeah, to me, I've always seen breakdancing as a sport, but I grew up as a dancer. I know they're actually legitimizing it, so to speak, allowing it in the Olympics. Now, is jiu-jitsu a sport that's in the Olympics? So
I heard they're going to have it in the Olympics this year. I don't know what that looks like, what the rules are going to be like. They'll probably have a gi. But with COVID, the Olympics got pushed back, so we're going to see what that looks like. They said they're going to. Until I see it and what the structure is, I'll believe it then. But if it makes it in there, it'll be huge for the sport. So how did you get into this journey with 10th Planet? Like, what's your story as far as jiu-jitsu? Yeah, so I started jiu-jitsu a million years ago. I was one of the guys that just accidentally started when I was a kid, like in the early days. But I always did it as like a fun hobby. So some guys take it deadly serious and they're super good. It's always been like a fun hobby for me. So I'm not as good as I should be for how long I've trained. But I started when I was 13 down in San Diego. Did a little training down there for a couple of years, and then took time off. Started training again when I was like in early like 2000s, late 99. And then about 5.5 years ago, I linked up with Coach Casey. He's the head of 10th Planet in Las Vegas, and he's my head coach. And I started training with them, and it had advanced so much from when I stopped training consistently, like in 2001, to training again in 2016. It was a difference between math and like advanced calculus or algebra. It was so far advanced on what the people were doing and the techniques and the moves and the positions that it's way past my ability to like comprehend everything they're doing.
What do you think was that big jump? Was it just the popularity of
definitely the popularity and the
general?
competition, and it's the next generation. So right now we have 8-year-olds in our class that are doing stuff that black belts who've been training for 10, 20 years can't do, just because they're learning it now and it's becoming instinctual. When those guys are adults, they'll be able to just kill anybody that was before them, and vice versa. The next generation of kids is always going to be way, way better. As long as you're building that environment.
Well, I know that I coach on the side, and I know that, you know, all of us that have been in the industry, so to speak, we talk about that. Like, I didn't have a personal trainer. I certainly didn't have the internet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I could have been such a better athlete to be able to study these things. I'm that type of person, though, that would literally study and do things daily. There's other people who are gifted that don't have to do that all the time. But like you were saying, with any sport, you have certain people and then that personality style that's going to show you different things. Now, for 10th Planet, so can you give us the schedule again, just so that they can remember where, when they can take the classes? So let's start with the one that you were saying is the introduction, because I know there's a lot of ladies that have asked me about introduction classes, so that they feel comfortable.
So we have 2 locations in Vegas. We have Henderson, and we have downtown Las Vegas.
Got it.
And if you just Google 10th Planet, it'll pop up. It's going to be the first thing that you see on the internet. Our Henderson location, we'll start there. We have a 6 a.m. that's pretty much all week long. And then we have an 11 a.m. virtually all week long. And then we have a 6 and 7 p.m. all week long. Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m., 11 a.m., Saturday and both Sunday. And that's our busiest gym. That gym's huge.
Is it bigger?
Way bigger. Yeah, that's our original location. We've outgrew the first one, just rebuilt the second one. So it just has way more people because it's an older gym.
Got it.
Meaning
more
older.
Established.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Downtown's new on the newer side. Really nice, beautiful gym. We have showers, ladies' locker rooms, men's locker room. That location we have 11 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then we have Monday through Thursday, or Monday through Friday, we have a 5:30 class. And then Monday through Thursday, we have our 6 p.m. class and our 7 p.m. class. And then Friday, we have what we call an open mat. That's just like, if you already do jiu-jitsu, you just come in and cross-train with us.
Got it.
And then there's no classes on the weekend downtown.
So you just did some renovating downtown.
We did. Put brand new mats in. So we use zebra mats, which are the best mats in all of sports. So they have really good footing, really good impact resistance, and we like to replace our mats early. Some people buy them, they keep them for 10 years. We've had ours for about 2 years. We replace them, use them for 2 years, put new mats, and we're constantly keeping our gym really clean and really nice.
Which is awesome, obviously, because of COVID. It's nice to know that those things, you said blood, sweat, and tears, so I'm thinking that's probably something that you want to keep on top of in a studio. So
one thing with COVID, when the city brought in the restrictions that we were going to face with COVID, we really didn't have to change anything. So we already have 2, I think they're like some ion or ozone filters in our air system, that as the air circulates, it kills any virus. And we got those from one of our students who's a doctor, and they use them in like surgical rooms. So that keeps the air clean. And then we use cleaning products that, before COVID was even a thing, it kills COVID on there, it kills HIV, it kills everything. And it's a semi-organic, so it's not a real harsh chemical, but it cleans the gym thoroughly, smells good, kills staph, MRSA, everything. So when they seen what we were using and how we were already cleaning our gym, they were like, you guys are doing it perfect.
Good.
And then when the gyms closed down, we have this big ion ozone light that we turn on. Can't have anybody in the room, it's like bad for you. But you turn it on, it kills any like bacteria, virus that the light shines on too.
That's great.
So every time in between classes, the gym's as clean as you can get, like with it being a gym.
Great.
Just super clean.
So you personally, how did you end up in Vegas? We always want to know, how did you become part of our community?
So I used to be a military contractor for the Marine Corps back in like 2008. And when I came back from Okinawa in 2011, I had started a side job, a part-time job with Apple. And Apple had known my management background, and they offered me a job in Vegas running one of their stores out here.
Oh, okay.
So I came out here a little bit as a kid, a little bit as a teenager, and then about 10 years ago, I came out here as a manager for Apple.
Okay.
And then after about 5 years, I
And
retired.
they sucked you in.
Just started doing jujitsu, and then I just started picking up, doing like a job here, a job there, helping out with this. And then pretty soon, if you do good, you just rise up through the company.
Good. So how long have you been with 10th Planet?
5.5 years.
5.5 years. That's awesome. And remind me what your title is.
Operations manager.
Operations manager. Okay. So we just want to remind you, because 10th Planet is kind of hidden in our little area, which I think was on purpose.
If you know, you know.
So the secret to DT Alley is that we have a jujitsu studio called 10th Planet. So can you remind them of the locations as far as door-wise, how to get in?
It's on the corner of 6th and Carson. And we could put up my phone number after this.
Perfect.
There's numbers you can get online, just call. So if you go into the old Johnny Carson Hotel, it has a donut bar in there, it has a Carson's Kitchen. Tucked back in the far back corner, kind of around the corner by the elevator, there's a glass door, and we're tucked back over there.
Yep.
So we don't have a storefront, we don't really need one. People seek us out. So we never really need to be on the streets.
Right.
And we can just pick like a nice location that's tucked back and private.
Awesome. Well, it's been great talking to you.
You too.
I love getting to know more about our community partners. We'll hope that you'll tune in to another Wellness Wednesday. We're actually going to bring some of our vets together, some of your
Nice.
vets and my vets, to hopefully try and demo a class and give everybody a perspective
Yeah.
of what the inside of this secret place looks like.
Right.
So thank you for showing up. Thank you for being on my show. Remember, if you're interested, it's at 6th and Carson. It's kind of hidden, but it's in the Johnny Carson building. There's a back entrance in our alley that's always open, so you can sneak back and look there. There's the front entrance over by Juice Stars that you can go in through the glass door, walking through towards the elevator. So 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, check it out. This is AG, and I'm signing out. Thank you.